Welcome back, everyone, to the next round of the World Championship 2015. For those of you just tuning in, my name's Matthew Bell, and I'm joined here by Jerome.
We are heading over to the Dragon Duel this time around. Today's Dragon Duel is 4 rounds of Swiss long. We're now in round 3. So this is the round where the Dragon Duelists really need to make their impact if they want to make it to the top 8 tomorrow. So this time around we've got a match between Chae Jun-suk of Korea and Yugo Kawabata of Japan. And it's a very unique matchup between Satellar Knights and Yang Xing.
Yes, and we do have someone called Yugo playing a synchro deck, so that's actually something I'm really excited about.
It's extremely appropriate for all of the Arc 5 fans.
For those of you out there that spotted it, yeah, this one's for you.
So we have an update on the main event while we're waiting for our match to begin. Currently, the top 8 players are Miguel David Soto of the United States, Ito Marcus from Israel, Galileo de Obaldia of Panama, Chase Robert Cunningham of the United States, Noah Green of the United States, Gerardo Jesus Delgado Portilla of Peru, Akira Hasegawa from Japan, and the last man in is Oliver Jack Parle from New Zealand. First man out is Maxwell Brian Schrack at 9th place, also from the United States. So strong showing from the United States early on.
Yeah, you guys seem to be doing really well this year.
It's gone pretty well so far. There are still 3 rounds left in the all-ages bracket, which will run 5 rounds of Swiss, as they have more than 16 players, 22 total.
Yes. So should we get into this matchup that we're going to be looking at today? So
we've already seen Teller Knights. They are a Xyz summon-based deck that make rank 4 summons with their level 4 light warrior-type monsters.
Yeah, differences in this deck from what we've seen before is we've got the main deck Effect Veiler, we've got 2 Maxis in there. Actually, it's 2 main deck Effect Veiler, sorry. We've also got Honest, which actually quite a few Satellar Knight decks have chosen not to play. I guess it's just because they want to minimize their monster count to streamline as much as possible to either have the usable traps, the removal, the revival, or have the actual Teller Knight monsters to do stuff.
I'm going to head over to the table now, but Yang Xing is a synchro-based deck. It's actually kind of akin to the Gadget deck, if you're familiar with that. I know we had one Gadget player last year. Red Gadget gets the green Gadget, gets the yellow Gadget, etc. The Yang Xing monsters summon themselves from the deck whenever they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard. So you can summon a lot of different monsters from your deck. They have different tuner monsters, and each of the non-tuner monsters will grant your synchro monsters a different buff when you use them for a synchro monster. It could be anything from attack points to immunity to battle, or immunity from spells and traps, etc.
One thing you can't get from the Yang Xing monsters is protection from monster effects.
Yes.
So how is this matchup going to play out with cards like Triver and stuff? Do you feel like that's going to be a major impact in the against the Yang Xing player?
It really could be. Yugo Kawabata is starting things off with Jiaotu, Darkness of the Yang Xing. He discards 2 Yang Xing cards from his hand to special summon 2 monsters from his deck, and he is met with Maxi. The monsters you summon have to be 1 with 0 defense, which he takes Bian, the Earth of the Yang Xing, and for 0 attack, he takes Biji, Water of the Yang Xing. The level 2 will give his synchro monster immunity from traps, and the level 3 gives it immunity from battle, which is actually useful here because it'll protect you from Honest.
Yeah, Honest, which you don't see coming. So you've got that little extra protection that you may not have been expecting in the first place. And there's also an absolute ton of trap cards in the Satellar Knight player's deck.
Actually, yeah, both of them play a lot of traps, but the Yang Xing number of traps is nowhere close to what you see from Teller Knights. In particular, the big trap to watch out for on Yugo's side is Mistake, the continuous trap card that prevents players from adding cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing. There are no cards in Yugo's deck at all that would make him add from his deck to his hand, so Mistake is entirely one-sided in this deck. If he draws it early on, he can cause fits for Chae, but it doesn't look like he has.
Here's a question. You could just pass with this, right? And your Yang Xing monsters would be destroyed. Oh, they're banished.
They are banished.
Sorry, that's a key thing. So he can't just pass here. He's got to play into this match.
He's got to play one more. He's got, what, 2, 2, and 3? That's 7. It'll give them either Yazi or Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Yazi in particular is nice because it can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and it has a Scrap Dragon-esque effect that lets Yugo keep destroying his own monsters to destroy his opponent's cards and summon more monsters of his own. And if Yazi itself is destroyed, he still gets to summon something from his deck in defense, any worm-type monster.
Yeah, this is an incredibly strong defensive start because that monster is really hard to deal with. You can't take it down in battle, your trap cards aren't going to affect it, and you can't target it with any of them.
So you can't get it with Castel. And you're not going to be able to use Exciton Knight here because discarding the 2 cards made it so that it's basically impossible to close the difference. You're looking at a case where you kind of need to get the Triver out.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to make a Triver play. His other outs include Dark Hole. Chow could play Dark Hole if he has it, but I don't think he does.
Nope, he's got some traps, one of which targets, one of which needed to be used beforehand, and a Call of the Haunted.
Okay, he can go for an XE play here because he's got the Sky Bridge open to him, but he can only summon Tellarknight monsters during the turn he uses the Sky Bridge.
Right, as long as that monster is face up on the field. So Unalkalai puts Deneb in the graveyard. And he goes ahead and shuffles up. No more searching for now. This is probably not something that Che was expecting to see. Although, if the stories we hear are correct, Yang Zing is the same deck that Yugo used to qualify for the World Championship. So word of that may have spread, and he might already know and have a strategy in mind for this matchup.
Yeah, the cat might already be out of the bag. But even still, knowing how to play against the deck is one thing. Actually sitting down across from it, especially when it has a strong start like this.
Very true. We see multiple copies of Fiendish Chain in Che's hand, neither of which are helpful. They're double not helpful in this case because Yazi is also immune to traps.
Yeah.
Putting the monster in defense also makes it so that there's no way that he's going to take any damage through it, just in case the match goes long.
Yeah, he's in a very good position for his next turn. He's got the Mask Chameleon, so he can make another Synchro play off of this.
He can't play it because he has
Oh,
too high a level
level
monster.
Level 5.
What Yugo needs is to start drawing into more monsters that he can use with his Yazi effect to start picking away at his opponent's cards. Now he Skybridges for Vega, which lets him summon Altair, and that'll get back Deneb. So he can go ahead and have a go at that Triver play, which would be absolutely devastating should it go through.
And this is where the Mask Chameleon follow-up was the
Extremely
comeback play.
valuable.
But we've got so many Fiendish Chains, that follow-up play is not really going to go anywhere.
Takes a look through his extra deck. He found a Triver there. And it's summoned. No response from Yugo, and he has to pick up all of his cards. And he's going to lose one of them to Triver. That's the Masked Chameleon. So the face-down card was still unknown, at least to the opponent. And that's the danger of starting out with the Jiaochu play. In general, you want to use Jiaotu as a counterplay to sweep your opponent's cards off the board with Bashia, the level 8 Synchro monster. If you're going to use it on the first turn like that, you generally go for more of a lockout card like Chao Feng.
Yeah, to stop his opponent making any of these plays that are going to cause problems. I mean, I suppose his other alternative in this game would have been just to set one of the Yang Zing monsters and then just pass and start using his deck as a resource.
Yes.
He had then had that follow-up play, which he could have made against this field.
Galaxy Cyclone takes out a face down, but the Call of the Haunted is also there to let Che keep on the pressure.
Yeah, the Tellarknight engine flowing quite nicely here for Che.
Yeah, big risk from Yugo that didn't seem to pay off. I don't think he's going to last long enough in this particular duel to get enough cards back to try again, especially when his opponent has every copy of Altair available to him. Deneb attacks.
Yep, that's a nice chunk of life points coming out. $36 of the remaining 5,900 going down.
Triver also attacks, puts him down to 2,300. And then in main phase 2, a normal summon of Unalkalai.
Just trying to take a look at Yugo's deck to see if there's anything he could draw to get him out of this situation that he's in. Unfortunately, I don't think any of these trap cards at this stage of the game actually do anything unless he gets Torrential Tribute and manages to resolve it against his field. But even then, Che would actually just rebuild his field because he's got all the follow-up plays in the world.
Yeah, on the end phase, Kawabata destroys the call with Mystical Space Typhoon that he had set previously. I think the only reason he would do that and allow the Deneb to come out is if basically you were trying to bluff that your Mystical Space Typhoon was something that would stop you from losing all of your life points in one turn. Otherwise, I think you kind of want to stop the Deneb.
Yeah, you're just trying to minimize the amount of plays that your opponent can go roll with, but even had Yugo done that, it looks like it's not really going to have accomplished much for him when he's so far behind, and any card he holds in his hand, Triver takes away from him. Anything he commits to the field at this point is going to get negated. Probably just a monster in defense mode.
He'd probably have to draw, Yangzing Path and shuffle 3 cards in and then get something really good off of it.
I think he just drew
But he
past.
doesn't dare.
It's
Loses
Ghost
Ghost
Over.
activates Ghost Over and Snow Rabbit, which destroys Triver. But then Triver's other effect activates, and here comes Altair.
And we see these 3 Monster Menace coming back into play.
Vega's the choice. No normal summon's been made yet. This will likely wrap it up for the first duel.
Yeah, Yugo taking a
Yeah, Yugo has no cards in hand, nothing on the field. He takes 17 and 18.
He has no outs to this in this deck, I don't believe. I mean, even if he top decks the Dark Hole, that's game.
17 and 18 actually isn't enough, even with Cowboy. Leaves him with 900 left. Minus 8 would be 100. But apparently that is enough, because a normal summon could still happen, and go on to the next game.
So we're going to go for the player's side deck in here. Let's go through and see what sort of cards could come in that could make Yugo's match perhaps a little bit more.
Right.
To actually get a little bit more involved with the game.
So first off, you need Monster Effect Negation if you've got it. And Yugo has Breakthrough skills in his side deck. He's got 3 Breakthrough skills and 2 lose one turn, both of which are very good against Teller Knights.
Yeah.
Especially against Triver, which is what caused him the problems the first time around.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got another Galaxy Cyclone
The Galaxy Cyclone's alright in this
and
matchup.
an extra Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yeah, occasionally you get to pick off a stray Phoenix Chain, stop your opponent, just keep picking it back up with their Triver plays.
And he's got a Compulsory Evacuation device as well, which can at least try to stop loops of Triver and get those materials in the graveyard.
Yeah. If I was Chai here, I'm not entirely sure what I'd be siding in, because I wouldn't have been expecting Yang Zing coming into this tournament.
Yeah.
You've got a DD Crow, which you could use, but it doesn't seem great. I mean, you've got Yang Zing Path.
Yeah, it has value there. If he might put it in if he thinks his opponent is going to run things like Powerful Rebirth or Call of the Haunted, which have been popular over in Japan and China, actually, for Yang Zing decks.
We've got the additional copy of Max C, which could come in, because
Probably will.
known for special summoning lots of
Yeah,
cards.
running into Max C with your Jiao-Tu play is just devastating.
We've got Thunder King Ryu. Ryu,
Not so good,
yeah, because you're not searching your deck. I mean, you could stop a Synchro Summon,
Yeah.
Powered up Synchro Summon, but
but you could probably just attack into Raiho with your 1900 attack Suani and get another summon.
yeah, and then just go around it that way. Mistake, absolutely not. There's a skill drain in the Tellarknight deck, which is...
Tempting, but not good at all
No,
against
not in
Yang
this
Zing.
matchup. I find it really curious that he's actually chosen to play...
In fact, I think Yugo is playing Skill Drain.
Sorry, that's Soul Drain. My mistake.
Oh, Soul Drain would be incredibly good.
Yeah, that one's probably going to come
Okay.
in. Sorry.
Yeah, but Skill Drain is actually in Yugo's deck because it's really good against things like Teller Knights and doesn't really stop him as long as he flips it after he's got a useful Synchro on the field.
Yeah, we've also got Dimensional Prisons as well.
Bench Flares is very good in this matchup.
Yeah, providing it's not a BG boosted monster.
Right, it's more for if they're trying to attack you with the basic Yangzing monsters or crash into your monsters to get different ones that they need for their Synchro summons, then Dimensional Prison's very useful.
Yeah, so he's actually quite prepared for this match with very good generic cards that you can play across multiple matchups. And that's one of the problems with playing a deck like Yangzing or, say, Infernoids in this particular format. There are none in the tournament, but with Ritual Beast being one of the most feared decks, Imperial Iron Walls are in and you get caught by overlaps and just strong generic cards.
I actually think Imperial Iron Wall plays to the strengths of Yangzing. We didn't see it, but Chiwen, the level 1 tuner, it goes ahead and banishes itself if you summon it from the graveyard with its own effect. But if you have Imperial Iron Wall out, it doesn't, and you can keep reviving it over and over again.
Nice, cool little interaction, like things you can do with Quillbolt Hedgehog if you're playing around with some of the old Synchro stuff.
Yeah, like that's why I wouldn't mind even main decking Imperial Iron Wall if I was really afraid of stuff like Trishula or Ritual Beast, because it's actually a positive for your deck, not just a negative for your opponent.
Yeah, you could conceivably play it in the main deck, absolutely. So, as a Yangzing player, do you choose to go first?
Against something like Teller Knights, actually just in general, I do, because I like to play a fair amount of trap cards in my deck, but I will double go first, given the choice, against Teller Knights, because I main deck 3 copies of Mistake.
Yeah,
and in this case, and Thunder King as well. Give myself the best chance to just shut them down before they get a chance to start.
Yeah, stop them playing Yu-Gi-Oh before they get a chance to even get into the match.
Yeah, the thing that Yugo has to be careful about here is that he doesn't get too aggressive, like he did last time, especially now that he knows that Max C is in the deck.
Yeah, and most likely an additional copy would have gone in after side decking. So there's 3 copies for Chai here, and he's very likely to draw one in his open hand. What's your odds of drawing 3 of?
1 of 3, it's like 30, 36, 37%.
That's pretty high.
It's a bit more than 1 in 3.
Yeah. So we'll figure out in just a few moments who will be taking the first turn in this match. For this duel.
Yeah. Looks like we had a brief reshuffle there for a moment. This one seems to be doing all right.
One of the reasons for all the shuffling is tournament. Obviously, this is the highest level of tournament play that we have for Yu-Gi-Oh! The rules for shuffling is very, very strict to ensure fair play for everyone, which is why you're going to see maybe a lot more shuffling going on than maybe you'd see on a YCS or something.
Right. Nobody wants to even think for a second that they get anything less than an absolutely fair shot at it, so that's why these rules are in place.
Well, while we're looking at the game map before we get started, that's Psycho, the Swordmaster of the Far East. It's one of our prize cards for the weekend for 2nd to 4th place. Psycho is actually a place, I've been told.
Psycho.
Psycho.
It's like part of West Kyoto.
Yeah.
It's based on an actual figure from history.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about the prize cards is they're always sort of hidden in the pictures and the names or some part of the history of the place from where the tournament's being run.
So, for example, last year we had Da Vinci's flying machine.
And Romulus and Remulus from
the Twin Wolves. What were we before that? Vegas, right?
Yeah, you had
so
Vegas.
we had the turtle.
Which had Vegas on it.
That had Vegas on its back. All right, Yugo goes first, and he starts off with that Thunder King. That's exactly what he wants to see.
He's got Yangzing Creation as well to back that up, so even if there is an out for that Thunder King, he can then start getting some Yangzings into play.
Yep. So the cool thing with Yangzing Creation is it doesn't care what monster was destroyed, and it doesn't care if it's, if there are any things that would cause a timing issue otherwise, because it's an if you can effect, not a when you can effect. So Yugo is in a strong position provided he gets to keep the creation on the field. He's also got Mistake along with it. So double trouble, and Che's only got one Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yeah.
Vega summons Unokalai, which will now activate its effect.
So I got the D-Nub in the graveyard.
First things first, gotta get rid of that Thunder King, and there are a number of different ways to do it. If you can't run it down, you can at least force Yugo to use its effect, sending it to the graveyard to block an Xyz summon.
Yeah, you're probably going to go for one of your more expendable Xyz monsters, in this case, to try and bait out the thing. So basically anything with more than 2 fires in attack, 'cause your opponent then has
It's
to.
kind
really.
of forced to.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick Castell or something, you choose not to Thunder King it, they're just going to shuffle you away and attack you.
Now, another thing that is pretty useful for Che is Abyss Dweller. We haven't really seen it much in this tournament because there aren't that many graveyard-activated effects, but this is why you leave it in your extra deck, just in case something like this comes up. Probably don't want to summon it here, though, because it's weaker than Thunder King and will not force the use of its effect.
Yeah, we are going to see the Xyz summon. Diamond
Nope,
Direwolf,
got
most
Diamond
likely.
Direwolf. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely have to take that one out. Otherwise, you could be looking at losing your Thunder King and one of your traps.
Yeah, I mean, the other alternative there is he could have let the Diamond Direwolf resolve, let it attack, and then flip up Yang's Creation, but then he still has to deal with the Diamond Direwolf.
Yeah.
Which in main phase you takes out another one of your cards, so that would have been terrible.
I believe Che flipped or set 3 cards at the end of his turn, but it was kind of unclear there. Activates Call of Haunted on the end phase for Deneb.
And mistake.
He tries to flip the mistake that he had just set, but that was the one he just set, and now his opponent knows he's got 2 mistakes. Now
That's
Che is...
a huge piece of information
Yeah,
to
that's
accidentally give.
really, really important. That could have dire consequences.
It's also the fact that now Che knows where that mistake is in the background
Right.
as well. So that third card he knows could be live when he starts trying to play his cards around and feel like what his opponent's
He plays Torrential, and he does that so that the effect of Jiao2 can't be activated. Because the last thing to have happened there was Deneb's effect resolving without effect, you can't use the when you can optional effect of Tauti.
Should he have changed his Yangzing Creation there, so he could have still got a something out of it?
Whose turn is it now? That was at the end of Yugo's turn. So
Yeah.
I think you try to keep that information hidden for as long as possible. He also needs to start loading up Yangzings in his graveyard, so maybe it would have been best to flip it there.
Yeah, flip it there. Get the monster in defense mode.
So we see that Che has Maxi and another Deneb. Denebs don't do a whole lot of good.
Yeah, it's pretty subpar right now against double mistake.
Revealing that second mistake was such a big disadvantage, because if he hadn't done it, Che has the Mystical Space Typhoon, and he might have chained it to the mistake and got nailed by the second one, and then Creation is absolutely the right move, and you just take over the game from there.
Yeah, he's okay. He leaves the mistake. Interesting.
Well, he knows there's 2,
Oh,
so there's no point in
Yeah.
using it.
In other circumstances, if you not known there was a second mistake down, would you have gone straight away Mystical Space Typhoon on the mistake?
I think you have to. Because double mistake is such a low percentage thing that you can't just assume your opponent has completely blown you out. You have to make the best play you can to win, not the one that is afraid of your opponent just drawing everything. Deneb and Vega both attack. Yugo needs a monster, and now it's really looking like maybe he should have flipped the Creation. But, because he didn't, Mystical Space Typhoon hit a harmless mind control instead of Creation.
Yeah, so he's got another turn to actually make something happen here. But if he draws any monster, he's good to go, because if it's a weaker monster, he can run it into the Vega and then get the
Get a double
Double
search,
search.
which will get him to his synchros. Now, what Che might want to do here is Xyz summon something in defense position so that that can't happen.
I think he's Oh, it's another
That's a second
Yangzing
creation.
So we're going to see another 2,700 damage coming in. with
So
just these 2 attacks.
the Galaxy Cyclone's not a bad draw here. Deneb attacks.
See, that's absolutely brutal because he knows what that second mistake is.
Yep.
His Galaxy Cyclone can essentially answer both mistakes.
Right. I believe that Galaxy Cyclone, can we bring it up? I believe Galaxy Cyclone does not care whether its face-down target is face-up at resolution.
You are correct.
We will be able to tell for certain once we bring that up for you. Yugo takes 2,700 more, which puts him at 11, and the Cyclone hits the face-down. That's destroy it.
I think
So it kills it even though it's face-down. And the second mistake will go next time around.
yeah, that was nothing there.
Oh,
So
that's rough. Yugo really should have flipped the creation.
yeah, he absolutely should have took the creation from that and been able to actually start because he'd had a stream of monsters that had made his Yangzing path live.
Yep.
No, that would have just opened up his whole entire deck to him, and
The one problem is that if he flips it, the next monster he gets is getting nailed by Castel. And he would still have to draw another monster.
this is true.
I mean, that's the whole thing. You need, one Yangzing monster and you need it to stick. And that did not happen for Yugo in either of these duels. So Che takes a 2-0 victory here, and he's the one who is still in the running.
Yep, for the Dragon Duel top 8. That was over pretty quickly.
Yep. We've had a lot of that today.
It's been very one-sided.
Pretty
matches,
quick
hasn't it?
matches.
Yeah,
So next round, I believe we are back to the all ages bracket.
that's correct. Yeah.
All right, we'll see once we get there how the last round shaped up. We'll report that for you next, and we'll see you then.
See you soon, guys.